Hello everyone, the long night drags on and I can't sleep. Today let's talk about Netflix's three-body problem. It's received a flood of positive reviews, especially for the first scene of the first episode, the struggle session, the scene with the scientist. For those who haven't experienced the Cultural Revolution, this can be quite impactful. For foreign viewers, or those who haven't experienced it, this scene delivers a soul-shaking impact. It immediately grabs your attention. In addition, the production team is truly top-notch. It's the original crew from Game of Thrones. So they've elevated Liu Cixin's original work to a whole new level. All my loyal fans know my consistent opinion about the three-body problem. Whether it's Netflix, Disney, or Sony, no matter which team adapts this subject, my view is that it's not worth watching. Why isn't it worth watching? Because Liu Cixin is it's just that simple. I'm not afraid of Liu Cixin suing me. Liu Cixin, my criticism represents my personal opinion. I think Liu Cixin, I think you're just a duh. Why? Because the worldview established in the three-body problem is fundamentally wrong. It's inferior. It's just sleazy and sloppy. The way he frames the worldview and the cosmology is called the dark forest theory. Basically, Liu Cixin uses this to explain why, on Earth or in the universe, humanity has yet to find any civilization similar to our own. So the reason for planets, civilizations, and races, this is a big question. Why are we alone in the universe? According to the number of potentially habitable planets in the universe and the Milky Way that could be like Earth, civilizations in the universe should be as numerous as the stars. We should be able to see many similar ones. Human civilization, or civilizations much more advanced than ours, should have spaceships coming and going in our night sky. But we haven't found any. Why is that? This is a major mystery that has puzzled the scientific community, and there are various hypotheses about it. There are all kinds of hypotheses, but today we won't be discussing those. Liu Cixin, in his three-body theory, offered an explanation. He said that actually there are many civilizations, but all of them operate under the dark forest system. That is, no one dares to speak out, because in the universe, every civilization is either prey or predator. Either you hunt others, or you get hunted by others. So, it's like being a hunter, moving cautiously with your gun at the ready. It's just like moving through a dark forest. Every hunter, upon seeing another hunter, will shoot to kill at the first opportunity. No one can survive a shot from someone else. So the result is that everyone sneaks into the village quietly, without even firing a shot, and no one says a word. This is Liu Cixin's depiction of the universe in the three-body problem. This is the foundation of all his stories. Later on, whether it's the Trisolarans, the water drop, the two-dimensional foil, or any super civilization like the Singer civilization, they all develop from this worldview. This worldview is Liu Cixin's foundation, and this foundation is wrong. Why is the foundation wrong? Although I, Lao Wang, am not a Christian and have not converted, and although I do not particularly support Christianity, but you see, Lao Wang knows that the reason Christianity was ultimately able to save the earth, Christian civilization was able to rise rapidly after the Renaissance, bringing about science and innovation. The rule of law and democracy, these came about precisely because of Christianity, especially Christianity after the Reformation led by Jesus. He preached universal love, loving everyone, even Samaritans, even Mary Magdalene. Everyone should be given love. Do not hate. This is about forgiveness and letting go, which is similar to the wisdom of the Buddha, the wisdom of Shakyamuni. It's the same. Prajna wisdom is about having compassion at heart. This is the true root that allows human civilization to move forward. Otherwise, if human civilization is all about hating those who don't share your beliefs, or demanding that others kneel before you, or I kneel before you, and if you don't believe in what I believe, I will wipe you out, destroy everything above the wheels. If this is a culture of hatred, a religion of hatred, then such a civilization cannot progress. It will never reach the era of space travel. They will always be stuck in the era of bows and arrows, broadswords, and long spears. Or, once they master nuclear weapons, that civilization will destroy itself because they act out, they hate, they lack universal love. So for a civilization to develop towards interstellar travel and become a multiplanetary species, it must have overcome the Great Filter. If it has overcome the Great Filter, once it has mastered the skills for multiplanetary survival and the technology for space travel and organizes and coordinates its social behaviors and manages its people or planetary resources on this foundation, it definitely cannot self-destruct, cannot be throwing nuclear bombs at each other, and cannot harbor hatred. It must be love. So when such a civilization truly goes out to explore the universe, it definitely won't be defined as a hunter or prey, but rather as a curious explorer, a helper, a friend maker, and an investigator, as well as a learner. That's what it should be. Of course, they might defend themselves and strike back. Like, if you are malicious and try to harm them, then they might retaliate. But they would never attack you indiscriminately without knowing right from wrong, just because they see you. If this civilization were like that, just indiscriminately wiping you out, that's nonsense, then its own internal enemies would have destroyed it long ago. It would never even have the chance to destroy the enemies of another planet. This is where I think Liu Cixin is fundamentally wrong. Liu Cixin is just, well, if your foundation is wrong, no matter how fanciful or impressive your arguments are, that foundation is still wrong. I can't accept this kind of worldview. I just can't accept it. People like me, like old Wang, this is my channel. I've been running it for half a year, and everyone can understand me, even though sometimes I might talk nonsense or swear a lot or even slip up sometimes, but at our core, we always emphasize love and selflessness. You shouldn't do to others what you don't want done to yourself. Only then can the world be harmonious. You have to let go of conflicts, let go of hatred. Only then can you move forward lightly. As long as the hatred isn't something that happened directly to you, you can let it go. But as long as the conflict didn't happen to you directly, if it's been passed down or a generation has gone by, you can let it go. And in fact, you should let it go. As long as it didn't happen directly to you, like the murder of your father, the loss of your wife, or things like money, fame, and profit, just let those things go. Really, they're not that important, truly. Leave some room for others so you can meet again in the future on good terms. Of course, if something did happen directly to you, then you can't just let it go. Why? Because you're human. There are hardships in life that you can't escape, like the murder of your father or the loss of your wife, or the hatred of having your child killed. If something like that happens, then that kind of hatred is impossible to resolve. This kind of hatred is no longer about things like money or fame. Those are just superficial. This is direct, the most immediate kind of thing happening to those closest to you. When such a relationship encounters this kind of fate, when this bond is broken, it's as if God is telling you that this is a deadlock in your life and you just have to face it. And this is something you can't let go of, but aside from this, anything one step removed, you have to let go. For example, if someone killed our grandfather, I would advise everyone to let it go, as long as your father isn't seeking revenge. If your father is a Mao supporter and he doesn't resist, then as a grandson, you shouldn't resist either. Why? Because it has nothing to do with you. You might not realize that the bond between you and your grandfather is actually already quite distant. In this chaotic world of the 5 impurities, only direct, immediate family members matter. Children, parents, and karmic ties. As for spouses, that's a direct relationship. The rest, those who are a step removed, like extended family or across generations, really, you shouldn't take it too seriously. You truly need to let it go. Once you truly let go, you'll see that everything is just as it should be. Although my grandfather lost everything in the Liaoxin campaign, his family was destroyed and he even lost his own life. But you see, my dad didn't seek revenge, and as his grandson, born in 1975, everything had already settled by 1946 or 1947. Who would I even go to for revenge? Isn't this just like the brilliant invention of market makers in the financial markets? You're not trading directly against an opponent, so you never know who took you out. After the reform and opening up, I, Old Wang, also did pretty well for myself. Honestly, if I ask myself, I didn't earn any less than my grandfather did. Maybe what my grandfather passed on to my dad, and my dad passed on to me. If that's the case, then by the time it gets to me, the 3rd generation rich kid, well, maybe my life as a 1st generation entrepreneur is actually more exciting than being a 3rd generation rich kid. So when I think about it, I just let it go. Really, I just let it go. So honestly, I never peed on Zhang Shuliang's grave, so everyone, please stop spreading rumors. I really did offer flowers and bowed 3 times to him. Well, since I've let all this go, there's no need to dwell on it. If God or the Creator arranged things this way, there must be a reason for it. Some metaphysics experts have said, Old Wang, meaning me, you are the reincarnation of Yang Yuting. you have to go and destroy Zhang Xueliang's grave. I said, there's no need for that. First of all, I might not even be the reincarnation of Yang Yuting. I don't really believe that I am Yang Yu. Second, even if I really am the reincarnation of Yang Yuting, all those grudges and resentments have already ended. I've died, been reborn, and recycled. Now I'm a new person, so it really doesn't matter anymore. I've let it go. But let me tell you all something interesting about Zhang Xueliang's tomb. If you look at my photos and that video from yesterday, pay attention to the details. The front left corner of the tomb is actually quite dirty. There are stains that look like oil residue, dirty watermarks that just can't be cleaned off completely. They're on the offering table at his tomb, right on the base of his tombstone. I suspect that inside, next to it, there are some flowers, some oranges, a few $1 coins, and a $1 bill pressed underneath. I really suspect there's urine in there. There's probably urine, most likely brought up by someone who couldn't let go using a water bottle. It's unlikely that it was done on the spot, because that place is quite high up. If you pee there, the administrator might see you and it wouldn't look good. After all, this is America. Doing something like that is possible, but you never know. Maybe it really was done by someone who hated him. You can't really explain it. If it was water that leaked there, or if it was spilled alcohol. People do pour out alcohol, tears flowing with the wine, but alcohol evaporates quickly. Alcohol wouldn't leave behind that kind of greasy, dirty stain. It just doesn't look like alcohol. And no one really comes to clean the grave. No one sweeps it anymore. Maybe this is just karma. In fact, a grave should be kept clean. If you look at the graves of the Japanese people down there, or the foreigners, or some Chinese overseas families like the Li clan or other family tombs, even though those are just ordinary people's graves, their tombstones are spotless. But if you look at Zhang Xueliang and Zhao Yidi's grave, honestly, whether you look from afar or up close, you can barely make out the inscription. Up close, it's just dirty and grimy, really neglected, filthy and unkempt. So about this, what I'm saying is I really advise everyone to let it go. Truly, you need to let it go. Because of this, I have my reservations about the kind of life or death struggle depicted in the three-body problem, where even beyond humanity, it's still a matter of kill or be killed. I can't accept this worldview of the strong bullying the weak, of might making right in the universe. I just can't accept it. Maybe the worldview he describes is correct, since we can't be sure that we're right ourselves, but we just brush past each other, never truly making contact. There's no way I could watch the three-body problem. I just can't. After reading the original novel, I simply can't accept that worldview. If the Dark Forest theory is actually true, or if it really means something, then with so many civilizations in the universe, there would never even be a chance for civilizations or planets to reach the stage of mutual destruction. If this mindset is consistent, if it's from cradle to grave, so to speak, if everyone thinks this way, then they would. In the primitive jungle, one tribe of monkeys would have already wiped out the other tribe. So how could the Dark Forest scenario only happen in the era of interstellar travel? Well, that's all tradition, so I just can't accept this. The three-body problem is just a pile of crap, really. Liu Cixin just took a dump, and then people like Obama, those big liberals, they have their own little agendas in their hearts. Yeah, they treat it like a treasure, but maybe Netflix just doesn't have any better material, especially Asian content. So they keep making this, filming this, but I'm not watching it. I've decided not to watch Dune, not to watch the three-body problem, just not watching these two. Not watching. Why? It's just too exhausting. Take something like Dragon Ball or Avatar. Those are fun to watch, they're lighthearted, and the worldview is really positive. But the three-body problem? What is that even? After watching it, you just feel unsettled. All right, that's all I'm going to say for today. Bye-bye.